The war room of the Galactic Coalition was silent. 12 species sat around a curved table made of white crystal. Their faces showed fear. Their bodies showed defeat. Ambassador Kelrix of the Irani Collective stood at the center, his thin gray body trembling as he spoke. 17 star systems, he said. Gone. 3 billion lives. Gone. Our fleets are broken. Our armies are dust. No one argued. They had all seen the reports. The Veldari swarm moved through the galaxy like a disease. They were not conquerors. They were eaters. Their hive ships would land on a world, and within days nothing alive remained. Not people, not animals, not plants. The Veldari consumed everything. The Yelthan representative, a creature of blue scales and tired eyes, spoke next. We have tried everything. Direct combat, orbital strikes, biological weapons. Nothing stops them. For every 1,000 we kill, 10,000 more appear. Because we keep attacking the wrong target, said Kelrix. The drones are endless. But the queens are not. If we could kill the queens, we have tried, interrupted the Marsari delegate. We sent our best assassins. None returned. The queens are protected by millions of drones. Getting close to them is impossible. The room fell silent again. Everyone knew the truth. The coalition was dying. In 6 months, maybe less, the Veldari would reach the core systems. Then it would all be over. Kelrix took a deep breath. There is one option we have not tried. If you suggest surrender, the Yelthan began. No. I suggest we contact the humans. The reaction was immediate. Some laughed. Others looked confused. The humans were a young species from the outer edge of the galaxy. They had only achieved space travel 200 years ago. Their technology was basic. Their military was small. Most coalition members had barely heard of them. This is a joke, said the Marsari delegate. Humans are primitives. They fight among themselves constantly. What could they possibly offer us? Kelrix pulled up a holographic display. It showed Earth, a small blue planet circling a yellow star. I have studied them, he said. Their history is violent. Extremely violent. They have spent most of their existence killing each other. Wars, genocides, purges. They're very good at death. So they are savages, the Yelthan said. How does that help us? Because savages fight with anger, Kelrix replied. Humans do not. They have learned to kill without emotion, without hesitation. They have turned destruction into a science. He paused. I believe they may be exactly what we need. The council argued for 3 hours. In the end, they had no choice. Desperation makes strange decisions seem reasonable. Desperation makes strange decisions seem reasonable. They send a message to Earth. We need soldiers. As many as you can spare. Please help us. The message traveled across the stars. It reached Earth on a quiet Tuesday morning. It landed on the desk of General Park Do-hyun, commander of the United Defense Council. Park Do-hyun was 63 years old. His hair had turned silver long ago. His face carried the weight of too many wars. He had fought in 3 conflicts on Earth before humans reached the stars, and 2 more after. He knew what war looked like. He knew what it cost. He read the coalition's message twice. Then he read. The intelligence reports his people had gathered about the Veldari. Hive species. Queens control the drones. Kill the queen. The swarm dies. Simple in theory. Impossible in practice. Except Park Do-hyun knew something the galaxy did not. Earth had prepared for threats like this. Not publicly. Not officially. In the shadows, humanity had created something terrible. Something necessary. He picked up his phone and made one call. Wake the executioners. 6,000 kilometers away, Colonel Kang Yuna was making breakfast for her daughter. The little girl was 4 years old, with round cheeks and curious eyes. She was asking why the sky was blue when Yuna's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. A simple code. 7 numbers. Her stomach tightened. "Mommy has to go to work," she said softly. She kissed her daughter's forehead, held her tight for a long moment, then walked to her bedroom. From behind a false wall, she retrieved a black case she had not opened in 3 years. Inside was her old uniform, and a list of names. Within 6 hours, 47 people across Earth received similar calls. They came from different lives. Big Siwu was teaching children to read when his phone rang. Cha Nari was holding the hand of a dying old woman in a hospice. Oh Junho was fixing his mother's garden fence. Han Minji was counseling a troubled teenager at her school. They all stopped what they were doing. They all said goodbye to the people they loved. They all remembered who they used to be. Project Terminus had been created after the Third World War. Earth's leaders had looked at history and seen a pattern. Every great civilization eventually faced a threat it could not defeat through normal means. When that happened, hard choices had to be made. Terrible choices. The executioners were those choices made flesh. They were not soldiers trained to fight and win. They were specialists trained to end things. Completely, permanently. They studied targets, found weaknesses, and eliminated threats at the source. For 20 years, they had waited, hoped they would never be needed. Now the call had come. Colonel Kang Yuna stood before her assembled team at the launch facility. They looked ordinary, middle-aged, tired. Some had gray hair, some had soft bodies. None of them looked like warriors. "The galaxy is dying," she said. "They asked for soldiers. They do not know what they really need." She looked at each face. Teachers, nurses, parents, killers. We are going to show them. The transport ship lifted off at midnight. 47 humans flew toward the stars. The galaxy had asked for an army that it was about to receive something much worse. Station Meridian was the largest military base in Coalition space. It floated at the edge of the Urani system, a massive structure of metal and glass that could hold 2 million soldiers. Right now, it held 400,000. The last real army the Coalition had. Ambassador Kelrix stood at the docking bay, watching the human ship approach. Behind him, 3 other Coalition representatives waited. The Elthan Admiral had brought his personal guard. The Marsari General had prepared a formal welcome ceremony. Everyone expected greatness. The human ship was small. Tiny, really. It looked like a transport vessel, not a warship. It had no visible weapons, no armor plating. It could maybe hold 50 people. "Perhaps this is just the advance team," the Elthan Admiral said hopefully. "The main fleet must be behind them." The ship landed. The doors opened. 47 humans walked out. That was all. Kelrix felt his heart sink. He counted them twice, hoping he had made a mistake. 47. Not 47,000. Not 4,700. Just 47 ordinary-looking people in simple gray uniforms. Their leader stepped forward. She was a woman of average height, maybe 50 years old, with black hair tied back and a calm face. Her eyes were steady. Her hands did not shake. "I am Colonel Kang Yuna," she said. "We are here to answer your call." Kelrix tried to keep his voice polite. "Colonel, we appreciate humanity's response, but we asked for soldiers. An army. We are fighting for the survival of 12 species." "Yes," Yuna said. "You are. And you brought 47 people?" 47 is enough." The Elthan Admiral laughed. It was not a kind sound. "Enough? Enough for what?" "The Veldari have millions of drones. 17 queens. They have destroyed fleets of 10,000 ships. What can 47 humans do against that?" Yuna did not seem offended. She looked at the Admiral the way a teacher looks at a student who has asked a silly question. "You have been fighting this war the wrong way," she said. "You send armies against armies. You meet strength with strength. That is why you are losing. And what would you suggest?" The Marsari general asked coldly, "Do not fight the body. Kill the brain." She gestured to a young man beside her. He had a gentle face and soft eyes. He looked like he had never hurt anyone in his life. "This is Lieutenant Bixiwu. 3 years ago, he was teaching children to count. Before that, he spent 6 months inside an enemy military base on Earth, living as a janitor, mapping every security system, every guard rotation, every weakness. When the time came, he disabled their entire defense network in 11 minutes. Alone." She pointed to a woman with kind features and gray-streaked hair. Sergeant Cha Nari. She spent 15 years as a hospice nurse, helping people die peacefully. She also knows 47 ways to stop a heart without leaving a mark. The coalition representatives were silent now. "You asked for soldiers," Yuna continued. "Soldiers fight wars. We do not fight wars. We end them." She turned to Calrix. "I need complete tactical data on every Voldari Hive Queen. Locations, fleet compositions, defensive patterns. Everything your intelligence services have gathered. That information is highly classified. Then unclassify it. Or watch your civilization burn. Your choice." Her voice was not angry. It was not threatening. It was simply stating a fact, the way someone might say that water is wet or fire is hot. Kelrix found the calmness more frightening than any threat. The Yelthan Admiral tried one more time. "This is absurd. Even if you could reach the Queens, they are protected by millions of drones. No small team could penetrate those defenses." Lieutenant Oh Junho, a thin man with a forgettable face, spoke for the first time. "Respectfully, Admiral, we penetrated your station's security 3 minutes after landing. Sergeant Lim is currently standing in your private quarters. Captain Han has accessed your classified military network. Corporal Shin found 4 ways to disable your life support systems." He smiled politely. "We are not ordinary soldiers." The Admiral's blue scales turned pale. He touched his communicator and barked orders. A moment later, his voice came back shaky. "He is telling the truth. There is a human woman in my quarters. She is reading my personal diary." Yuna nodded at Junho. "Call them back." "We have made our point." Within minutes, the hidden team members returned to the docking bay. They looked relaxed, casual. One of them, Sergeant Lim Taeyeon, was eating an alien fruit he had apparently taken from the Admiral's private kitchen. "We did not come here to impress you," Yuna told the stunned representatives. "We came here to work. Give us the intelligence we need. Stay out of our way, and this war will be over in 3 months." "3 months?" Kelrix whispered. "We have been fighting for 2 years." "You have been fighting," Yuna agreed. "We will be hunting." She walked past them, her team following in silence. Captain Han Minji paused beside Kelrix. She had a warm smile, the kind of smile that made people trust her. "Do not worry, Ambassador," she said gently. "We are very good at what we do. And what we do is make problems disappear." She patted his arm in a comforting way. Permanently. She walked away. Kelrix stood frozen in the docking bay, watching the 47 humans disappear into his station. He had asked for an army. He had received something else entirely. And for the first time since the war began, he was not sure if he should feel hope or terror. Perhaps, he thought, there was no difference anymore. The Coalition gave the humans a small section of Station Meridian. It was in a forgotten corner, far from the command center, far from anything important. The message was clear. "We do not believe in you." Colonel Kang Yuna did not complain. She simply requested the intelligence files she had asked for, a secure communications room, and 3 days of privacy. The coalition granted these requests, happy to ignore the strange humans while they focused on real military matters. On the first day, the humans studied. They read every file the coalition had on the Veldari. Biology reports, battle records, communication patterns, autopsy results from dead drones. Yuna's team absorbed information like sponges. They asked strange questions. What do the queens eat? How do they sleep? What sounds do they make when they are calm? On the second day, the humans talked to prisoners. The coalition had captured several Veldari drones over the years. They were kept in special cells, more for study than anything else. No one had learned much from them. Drones without a queen were barely conscious. Captain Han Minji spent 14 hours with these prisoners. No one knew what she did or said. When she came out, her uniform was clean and her face was peaceful. She handed Yuna a datapad with detailed notes. The queens talked to each other, she reported. A psychic network. When one queen feels something strongly, the others sense it. Fear, pain, anger. She smiled. We can use that. On the third day, the humans vanished. Calrix did not notice at first. He was busy with real problems. Fleet movements, supply lines, evacuation plans. It was only when a junior officer reported that the human quarters were empty that he realized something had happened. What do you mean, empty? They are gone, Ambassador. All 47 of them. Their ship is still in the dock, but they are not on the station. Calrix searched for them. Security footage showed nothing useful. The humans had simply disappeared. No alarms. No signs of forced exit. They were there, and then they were not. He sent messages to their ship. No response. He contacted Earth. General Park Doyen answered with a simple statement. They are working. Do not interfere. 72 hours later, the third fleet of the Veldari swarm fell into chaos. The reports came in fragments. Confused. Impossible. The Veldari Third Fleet had been stationed in the Karok system, preparing to assault the coalition's inner territories. 30,000 drones, 200 warships. One Hive Queen dock. Now the drones were killing each other. Ships were crashing into each other. The entire fleet was tearing itself apart. Calrix watched the footage with his mouth open. A Veldari cruiser rammed into its own command ship. Drones on a carrier started eating each other. It was madness. Pure, complete madness. What happened? The Elfin Admiral demanded. Did we have a secret weapon? Did someone attack them? The answer came 4 hours later, when a small shuttle docked at Station Meridian. Lieutenant Oh Junho walked out with 3 members of his squad. They were calm, unhurt. Junho was carrying a metal container. Mission complete, he said, handing the container to Kel Rickstad. Inside was a Veldari neural core, the brain of a Hive Queen. Still fresh. Still warm. How? Calrix whispered. How is this possible? Junho shrugged. We walked in. We killed her. We walked out. The Third Fleet had 30,000 drones protecting that queen. Yes, the drones are not very smart. They watch for attacks, armies, fleets. They did not watch for 4 humans in stolen maintenance uniforms changing air filters. Junho smiled. It was a pleasant smile. We were inside the Hive ship for 6 hours before we reached the Queen's chamber. No one looked at us twice. Colonel Kang Yuna arrived on a separate shuttle an hour later. She gathered her team and began debriefing. Calrix demanded to join. The Veldari are a Hive species, Yuna explained patiently. The queens control everything. Without a queen, the drones lose direction. They follow instinct, not orders. Their instinct is to eat. So they eat whatever is closest. including each other. You killed one queen and destroyed an entire fleet, Kelrick said slowly. Yes, and when that queen died, she screamed. The psychic network carried her death to every other queen in the galaxy. Yuna looked at her datapad. Our intelligence suggests they're scared now. They have never lost a queen to assassination before. They do not understand what happened. She pulled up a map showing 16 other queen locations. Fear makes people make mistakes, she said. Tomorrow, we will make them more afraid. The coalition representatives stared at the map. 16 targets. 16 impossible missions. And the humans talked about it like they were planning a shopping trip. You cannot be serious, the Marsari general said. You cannot think you can kill all of them. Yuna looked at him with those calm, steady eyes. General, we have already identified 3 queens with weak security patterns. Lieutenant Yoon will handle Queen Quinnis alone. She prefers solo work. Sergeant Lim's team will take Queen Septimus using a biological agent he has been developing completely untraceable. And I will personally lead the assault on Queen Primus, the eldest. Personally? With how many soldiers? 6. She paused. We do not need more. That night, Kelrix could not sleep. He kept thinking about the Veldari neural core in that metal container. He kept thinking about Lieutenant Junho's pleasant smile. He kept thinking about what Captain Han had done to those prisoners. He had asked the galaxy for warriors, heroes, saviors. Instead, he had received something from humanity's darkest nightmares. Professionals who killed without anger, without hesitation, without doubt. In the morning, the executioners would begin their real work. And Kelrick suspected the galaxy would never be the same. 93 days. That was all it took. The Veldari swarm had terrorized the galaxy for 200 years. They had destroyed civilizations, eaten worlds, built an empire of fear across 17 star systems. The humans ended them in 93. Dazed out Ambassador Kelrix kept records of every mission. He could not help himself. He needed to understand what he was witnessing. Each report was more disturbing than the last. Queen Quintus died on day 12. Lieutenant Yunha completed the mission alone, as promised. She infiltrated a hive ship carrying 2 million drones by hiding inside a cargo container of organic waste. She spent 4 days crawling through ventilation systems, eating nothing, sleeping in 2-hour intervals. When she reached the Queen's chamber, she killed 12 royal guards with a blade and a neural disruptor. The Queen died without making a sound. Yunhana walked out through the main corridor. The drones did not recognize her as a threat. She was covered in Veldari blood, and the dying Queen's confusion had spread through the psychic network. The drones thought she was one of them. She reported back to Station Meridian 8 hours later and asked for a hot meal and a bath. She showed no emotion, no pride, no regret. Queen Septimus died on day 29. Sergeant Lim Taehyun did not even board the hive ship. Instead, he spent 3 weeks studying Veldari atmospheric systems. He discovered that their ships recycled air through biological filters, living organisms that clean toxins from the environment. He created a poison that only affected Veldari biology. It was invisible, odorless. It spread through the air filters and killed everything it touched. The Queen, her guards, and 600,000 drones died in their sleep. Lim called it merciful. He said they did not suffer. Kelrix did not know if that made it better or worse. Queen Primus, the eldest and most powerful, died on day 41. Colonel Kang Yuna led that mission personally. 6 humans against a fortress that held the Veldari High Command. 20 million drones. The most advanced defenses in the swarm. Yuna did not try to sneak in. Instead, she let herself be captured. For 3 days, the Veldari interrogated her. They used pain. They used drugs. They used methods that made Kelric sick to read about. Una told them nothing useful. She let them believe they were winning. On the third night, while the Queen personally observed her torture, Una activated a device hidden inside her own body. A small explosive, not much bigger than a fingernail. Enough to kill everyone within 10 meters. The explosion killed Queen Primus instantly. It also killed Una's left arm. Her team extracted her 40 minutes later. She was conscious the entire time. She directed the escape while bleeding from a wound that would have killed most people. When she returned to Station Meridian, the medics replaced her arm with a mechanical one. She was back to work the next morning. "Does it hurt?" Kelric asked her once, looking at the metal arm. "Yes," she said simply. "But pain is just information. I choose what to do with it." The other queens fell one by one. Each mission was different. Each one was efficient. The humans adapted to every challenge, solved every problem, killed every target. By day 93, only one queen remained. Queen Ultima, the youngest. She had been created after the war began, raised in secret on a hidden world. The Veldari hoped she would continue their species. Kelric finally accessed humanity's classified files that day. He needed to understand. The Coalition had tried to get this information before, but human security was impressive. Now, with the war nearly won, Earth allowed limited access. Project Terminus had begun after something called the Third World War. Kelric read about it with growing horror. Humans had nearly destroyed themselves. Nuclear weapons, biological attacks, targeted killings on a massive scale. Millions dead in months. When it ended, Earth's leaders asked a terrible question. What had they learned? The answer was that humans were very good at killing. They had practiced for thousands of years. They had made it an art, a science, a profession. Project Terminus took that knowledge and refined it. They found people with certain skills, patience, intelligence, emotional control. They trained them in infiltration, assassination, psychological warfare, biological weapons, every method of ending life that humans had ever invented. Then they added one more element, the ability to live normal lives, to love, to laugh, to raise children and help neighbors and volunteer at hospitals. The perfect killers would also be perfect citizens. They would disappear into society until they were needed. "You created monsters," Kelric said to Colonel Una after reading the files. "No," she replied. "We are not monsters. Monsters kill because they enjoy it. We kill because it is necessary. There is a difference. How can you live with what you have done?" Una was quiet for a moment. She looked at a photograph on her desk, her daughter, the little girl with round cheeks and curious eyes. "Before I left Earth," she said, "my daughter asked me why I had to go. I told her that bad things were hurting people far away. I told her that mommy had to go help stop the bad things. And that is enough? That simple explanation? It is the truth." Una looked at Kelric with those calm, steady eyes. "I do terrible things so that good people can live safely. I carry this weight so my daughter never has to. That is what it means to be human, Ambassador. We are capable of great love and great violence. The trick is knowing when to use each one." She stood up. "Tomorrow, we end this war. Queen Ultima dies. And then I go home to my daughter." Kelric watched her leave. He understood now. The humans were not monsters. They were something more frightening. They were ordinary people who had chosen to become weapons. And they could switch it off whenever they wanted, returning to normal life like nothing had happened. That, he realized, was the most terrifying thing of all. Queen Ultima died screaming. She was the last of her kind. The youngest. The most protected. The Veldari had hidden her on a frozen moon at the edge of known space. They had surrounded her with their remaining forces, 3 million drones. Their best warriors, their most advanced technology. None of it mattered. Corporal Shin Yoonji completed the mission. She was 34 years old. Before Project Terminus, she had taught music to elementary school children. She could play 6 instruments. She had a gentle voice that made children feel safe. She was also the most skilled close combat specialist in the Executioner program. The mission took 11 hours. Shin moved through the underground fortress like a ghost. She killed 200 guards without firing a single shot. Blades, poison, her bare hands. Each death was silent. Each death was quick. When she reached Queen Ultima's chamber, the young queen was waiting. Unlike her sisters, Ultima had been told stories about the humans. She had heard the psychic screams of 16 dying queens. She knew what was coming. Why? Ultima asked through a translator device. Her voice was young, afraid. Why do you do this? We only wanted to survive. To eat. To grow. It is our nature. Shin stood before her, covered in the blood of Ultima's guards. Her face showed nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no pity. Your nature killed billions, Shin said simply. My nature is to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We are both doing what we must, but you feel nothing? No guilt? No sadness? Shin was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft, almost kind. I feel everything. Every death I cause lives in my memory. I will carry your face with me until I die. She raised her blade. But I will not let my feelings stop me from doing what is necessary. Queen Ultima died quickly. Shin made sure of that. Even at the end, even for an enemy that had eaten worlds, she showed mercy. The kill was clean. When Shin emerged from the fortress, the remaining Veldari drones had already started killing each other. Within hours, the last of the swarm was gone. Not defeated. Not scattered. Extinct. The galaxy celebrated. On 100 worlds, people cheered. They sang songs. They cried with relief. The nightmare was over. The Veldari would never eat another child, never burn another city, never destroy another civilization. But on Station Meridian, Ambassador Kelrix could not celebrate. He watched the 47 humans prepare to leave, and he felt something cold in his chest. They were laughing. Lieutenant Big Siwoo, the former kindergarten teacher, was showing pictures on his communicator. His wife had sent new photographs of their baby 3 months old now, learning to smile. Sergeant Cha Nari, who had helped kill millions, was crying happy tears because her daughter had taken her first steps. While she was away, Captain Han Minji was planning a vacation with her husband. Sergeant Lim Tae-yun was complaining about missing his mother's cooking. Lieutenant Yoon Hana was reading a romance novel she had brought from Earth. These people had just committed genocide. They had erased an entire species from existence. And now they were sharing baby photos and talking about restaurants. Colonel Kang Yuna noticed Kelrix watching. She walked over to him, her mechanical arm clicking softly with each movement. You seem troubled, Ambassador. I am trying to understand you, Kelrix admitted. Your people just ended a species. Millions of years of evolution. Gone. Forever. And you act like you just finished a normal job. Yuna considered this. What would you have us do? Cry? Scream? Tear our clothes and beg for forgiveness? I do not know. Something. Anything that shows you understand what you have done. We understand perfectly. Yuna's voice was calm but firm. The Veldari killed 3 billion sentient beings. They would have killed 300 billion more. We stopped them. The math is simple, Ambassador. We saved more lives than we took. But the way you did it was efficient, clean, professional. Yuna shook her head. The galaxy wanted us to be heroes. Warriors who would fight glorious battles and die noble deaths. That is not what we are. We are tools. precise instruments designed for one purpose. When the job is done, we go back to our lives. She looked at her team laughing, crying, celebrating their return home. Those people have killed more enemies than most armies. They have done things that would break ordinary minds. And tomorrow, they will go back to teaching children and caring for the sick and loving their families. That is the human gift, Ambassador. We can hold darkness and light in the same heart. General Park Do-hyun arrived later that day to personally retrieve his team. He was an old man with tired eyes and a straight back. He shook hands with each executioner, thanking them quietly for their service. Before leaving, he met with the Coalition Council. The 12 species sat around their crystal table, but the atmosphere was different now. Before, they had treated humans as primitives. Now, they looked at Park Do-hyun with something between respect and terror. "We answered your call," Park Do-hyun said. "We hope you never need to call again. What happens now?" Kelrix asked. "What happens to your executioners?" "They go home. They return to their families, their jobs, their ordinary lives. Project Terminus goes back to sleep." Park Do-hyun paused. "Unless someone wakes us again." The threat was clear, unspoken but impossible to miss. The humans had shown what they could do. Any species foolish enough to threaten Earth or Earth's allies would face the same fate as the Veldari. The human ship departed an hour later. Kelrix watched it vanish into faster-than-light travel, carrying 47 ordinary people back to their ordinary lives. That night, he drafted a message to every species in the galaxy. A warning, a plea, a truth that needed to be spoken. "We asked humanity for soldiers," he wrote. "They sent something else. They sent teachers who can kill armies, nurses who can destroy fleets, parents who can erase civilizations. They call them executioners, but that name does not capture the true horror. The horror is not their skill. The horror is not their efficiency. The horror is that they are normal. They love their children. They help their neighbors. They laugh at jokes and cry at sad stories. And when called upon, they walk into darkness without hesitation, do terrible things, and walk back into the light unchanged. Do not make enemies of humanity. They do not send warriors who fight with honor. They send people who end problems permanently. And when the job is done, they go home to cook dinner for their families, as if nothing happened. We ask for soldiers. They sent us a message about what humans truly are. A species that learn to love and to kill with equal passion and never confuses the two. The galaxy is safe now, but I cannot sleep, because I know the truth. The humans did not save us out of kindness. They saved us because we asked nicely. And I cannot stop wondering, what happens to the species that asks rudely? Kelrix sent the message. Then he sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars, thinking about kindergarten teachers who could kill queens, and the thin line between civilization and annihilation. Galaxy had wanted soldiers. Humanity sent something. Worse, they sent ordinary people who could do extraordinary evil when necessary and sleep peacefully afterward. That was the human gift. And the galaxy would never forget it.